Hey, foamies, the Into the Flow podcast starts right now. Hey, it's Gabe from Gabe's Spotless Window Cleaning here in Tucson, Arizona. This is the Into the Flow podcast. Our guest today is Kyle Grimes. He's the owner of Clean Habits LLC out of Salt Lake City. Well, just south of Salt Lake City, you said, right? Utah?
Yeah, we were, like all of Salt Lake County, Salt Lake City,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
we just barely moved outside of the county.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us, man. I look forward to talking with you some more. Now, I got to meet you through Instagram. You have a really cool account, and you post all the time. You have some really cool videos, and you just have a really cool vibe about you. You know, it's very positive. You reach out to people. You're very helpful. You know, you can tell you're very helpful to your commenters and the people who follow you. So you have a pretty faithful following. So that's how I got to know you. But how did you get started doing Windows? What was this something that a family thing, or did you pick it up, or how did it work out?
Oh, when I was probably like 5 or 6, we went to Disneyland, we got stuck in traffic and someone came up and cleaned the window and I'm like, that's the life. No, I joke. First off, thanks for having me on, Gabe. This is
Yeah.
awesome. And likewise, I love what you do. So this is neat to interact here. But the story how Clean Habits got its start kind of has like a rocky initiating into window cleaning through a former roommate, and things kind of went a little bit sour at the
Mm,
time, but turned out to be the most wonderful thing ever because it introduced me to my passion of window cleaning. And so that was back in May of 2017. We got our start. We, I don't know, it's kind of a unique story, but I feel like everyone has their own iteration of the story that, at the time I was owed a lot of money and
mm,
found out that between that and a few other things that I had been doing for work for different things, some of the businesses I was with was struggling because I was doing a 9 to 5 thing, doing some windows on the side, and
mhm.
it was just a rough go. And so we sat down, my wife and I, and I'm like, we have nothing. We had less than $75. We had 2 little kids, rent was due, car payments due, and it was like, go get like a deadbeat job that
Uh-huh.
we wouldn't be able to get caught up, or I could make something out of Windows. And we just said, hey, we'll go all in with the absolutely nothing we have. And because I enjoy it so much, and with my wife's support, it's been unreal in the just shy of 4 years what's happened.
Mhm.
So that's kind of like a little bit in depth and a little bit of just high level overview, but
Yeah. And
we all have our own introduction. So
how long have you been in business?
May is going to be 4 years. So we're a little
Four
over three
years.
and a
That's
half.
pretty good. Yeah. Now, did you ever work for anybody, or you just started on your own?
Just on the side
Just the side
for a
stuff.
guy
Yeah.
that was like a lot of different facets of cleaning and
Gotcha.
such. And so like Windows was a little bit of what he did, and I'm like, I like that.
Yeah, yeah. So
I
you grew quite a bit for in just 4 years. I mean, you're all over the place, right?
it's man, Gabe, it's been a wild ride. And like even going back to the Instagram thing, like I grew up in Northern California and my father's in construction. And so for me, I enjoy posting and like checking out like on my
Hmm.
business page with Instagram. Social media outside of that,
Yeah, yeah.
it is what it is. But my thought process was I was taking some before and afters when I very first got started.
Hmm.
And I had this client that at the time lived up the street from our old house. And I was so scared because they had this massive, um, instead of just a little window well, they had
Hmm.
this massive, like gaping over the whole back end of the house and
Yeah.
rock structures and stepping down. And I had to do some pole work. And I'm like, man, like, I don't want to break anything. And for a few things that were a little off, I'm like, I just want a picture before, maybe a picture during and a picture after. And then I'm like,
Hmm.
social media, just throw it up. And
Yeah.
sitting there feeling like such a nerd. I'm like, this is so lame. Like, who wants to see pictures of me doing this? And that evolved into like, same thing, videos. And a lot
Yeah.
of it was either before and afters for results, or to say like, this is kind of what the situation was. This damage was already there.
Yeah.
And time lapse. I'm like, if something happens, then it's on video.
Hmm.
Or if it was a regular video, same thing. And then I'd post it in time lapse because you couldn't see all the mistakes I was making.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
Exactly.
but yeah, so
So
the
so
Instagram thing's been fun. But that's a lot of how I got started was I wanted to figure out I told my wife, in this first year we had 7.5 months, and I'm like,
Hmm.
it's going to be hard. It's already hard right now, so it can only either maintain or improve. It really
Hmm.
couldn't get worse.
Hmm.
I mean,
So
we're seeing it happen.
with your
Yeah.
Instagram, it kind of sounds like it was just kind of an organic growth in how you used it.
Oh,
Did you
it
do
was.
research? Did you try to like like tinker with it, or is this just, hey, does this work? I'll try it. Oh, it doesn't work. I won't do it. Oh, this worked great. I'm going to keep doing more of this. Is that how it worked out with you?
To be honest, it was like a fluke. I enjoy photography,
Hmm.
and so I'm like, oh, this is kind of be a cool angle, and like literally, it was just I have all this content in my phone that's I'm just holding on to for like my own liability, my own protection. And some of it's like, oh, I cleaned that window. That looks so good. And so I just figured, let's just flood it onto a business page and
Yeah.
just have it out there.
Uh-huh.
And from there, it was like, oh, well, like this picture might be kind of cool, or this video might be kind of cool. And then, months down the road, I'm like, oh, like there's like
Yeah.
this massive presence of window cleaners
Hmm.
in the industry. And then I figured out that we're on YouTube, like all these things. So I'm like, oh, like this might be a little bit cool. But I've really kept it, for me, it's just like really raw. It's just like a
Hmm.
random perspective.
Yeah.
And
No, I like
it's
it. You know what
just
you
my
do?
take.
You do that I like a lot, and I'm really trying to do it more. Is you talk directly to your audience. And that's and it's a very natural thing for you. When you're talking, you feel like you were just with your buddy, and you're walking on the job, and you're talking about what you're going. Oh, I'm going to do this. I'm doing this. I'm trying this out today, and and you just kind of explain how you do. And I can't wrap my head around it sometimes because it's not my personality to talk to the phone. And
It's
two,
hey, I'll tell you what, you have a conversation that's personal with everyone, and you're like, hey guys, oh, this is what
yeah,
I'm doing
yeah,
today. It's a weird thing. I think for me, the two pieces of it is like coming from like my sales and marketing, a little bit of marketing, mainly
hmm,
sales background.
hmm,
It was like, how do I want to engage with someone? And I want it to just sound natural.
yeah,
And I'm sitting there feeling like such a dork. I'm like, this is just, it's so weird, but I kind of have enjoyed that same, like you're saying, like I have a majority of really, really awesome and beneficial interaction and communications with
yeah,
people on there. And I've had a few people say that. And I think that what's for me, I think that's what I enjoy with my approach is I want to be approachable because
hmm,
I want everyone to be able to win. And I know a lot of things. I know some things really well, but I know everybody knows these like killer things. And
yeah,
as we collaborate and bounce ideas back and forth off one another or send a video, like I want I want to kind of be able to aggregate like that big marketplace of our
uh-huh.
window cleaning family and figure out like, hey man, like this is cool. Well, what about this? Oh, well, what about that?
Right, yeah,
And so I've tried to make it like me just engaging as if everyone's like right here, even though
yeah.
I'm
Well,
just
and
talking to my phone.
that's what I keep telling myself, because every time I do the same thing, like you said, I just feel like I feel weird. I feel like a dork. I'm like, oh, who's gonna be care about this and whatever, you know.
I'll care
But
about it,
then,
dude.
well,
I
that's what
love
I
your
say.
content.
I think about you. I think, yeah, but when Kyle does it, you don't think that. You just think, hey, this is kind of cool. He's talking to me, and while he's walking me through his job, so I'm like, so that's how people would think about it with me. And every time I do it, I get tons of likes. I get tons of views.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, why don't I just do this more? And then it starts over again. I get ready. I'm like, nah, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to feel like a dork. It's like, why don't you just learn,
the the
and
funny part. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, no, good.
The funny part though is like you maybe it's like one or two or three takes. I mean, I try to just run with whatever it is, and if I
Hmm.
stumble, it's like, hey, it's how it is. It's
Yes.
just raw. But the funny one though, and that's like for like the stories.
Yeah.
But for my actual feed for my posts, it's funny because sometimes I'll try to like curate like this really, really sick, like this is so dope.
Right.
This video is great. And it's like, "Meh."
Yeah.
And then I'll put up
But
this one where I'm like, oh, dude, I shot this off my phone instead of a GoPro. It's
yeah,
super
yeah.
lame, whatever. And then it's like, that one
But
blows up. And
but
it's,
it's because it's real. See, and that's the
yeah,
thing. When something's too polished and especially if people know you and they know you're not a polished person,
Oh, dude, I'm so
then it
far from
comes off.
polished.
Yeah, it comes off as in what's the word,
Disingenuous almost.
disingenuous or inauthentic, so
Hmm.
when you're just talking, and like you say, when it's raw and you stumble and you're saying but that's just what we do when we talk, right? When we have a natural conversation, we're saying those things, those little word whiskers, then it just feels real. And I think people connect with that more, especially with social
Yeah.
media. It's different when you're putting like an ad on your website, or something that's going to pop up on Google. That's
Right.
different. That's a different, you want a professional video and look, but on social media, it just,
Just the nitty gritty.
it does. And it connects with people when you're authentic like that, and you're just, hey, this is me, it's my personality. Because I know with my goal with social media, I never really try to get work from social media. For
Oh,
me, it's
that's
always
zero.
branding. It's always branding. And I want, it's so funny. The other day I went to a house, and we're wearing, I'm wearing full mask when I'm inside the house. And so it's covering up, and I'm talking with the customer because she had asked me a question. And she says, and I'm sorry, what's your name? And I said, oh, I'm Gabe. And she's all, you're Gabe? You're the Gabe? And I'm like, yeah, I guess I'm the Gabe. And she's like, oh,
For
I
sure,
seen you
dude.
on Instagram and this, and that. I'm sorry, I didn't recognize you. And then she acted like she had known me forever, and that's
Yeah.
kind of that's always what my goal is I want the social media to be a way to allow the customers to feel a closeness with me. So that way, when I come, I'm not a stranger. We're not a stranger
Yeah.
coming to the house. Where, hey, we know this organization and we know how they are and what their personality is, and we want that into
Yeah.
our home. That's always
Definitely.
been my goal. Yeah, and that comes across with you as well. I think that's why, we appreciate each other mutually because we have the same goal on branding.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, maybe in like a comment or like on the caption under a post, I might say like, hey, you can call or text. But yeah, literally, I don't post anything to get work. I post content just so it's out there.
Hmm.
And, I try to keep it to where, I mean, for me, it kind of keeps myself honest, but then I can see, like, as I scroll through all the posts, I'm like, man, like I've come so far, like, and that was really hard. This is really cool. Or, you might forget and you've got some job and like, this might be tough. And then you're like, oh man, I've done something like this, or I can take this idea or implement the same. But yeah, it's for me, I post it. I mean, obviously for whoever follows me or whoever sees it, but I just post it for me.
Hmm. Yeah, same
And
thing. And the ones that I post for me always do better than if I'm trying to curate something that, oh,
then you're like,
what's going to get lots of likes, right? 30 likes, But if I just
yeah,
post it for me because it's fun, or I think it's funny, or I think it's whatever, then that's always what gets the most interaction and engagement, in the post.
yeah.
So now you would do something, you called, what was it, horizontal marketing. So I know that was something that you had said you had done, and it was affected. And you had another name for it too, but you said that
I,
horizontal marketing was kind of the term that was used for your
that's
methods.
that's what I got labeled. No, so that's what, obviously you've had the opportunity as well to work with ABC. It's been
Yeah.
fantastic, and Amy over there, that's what she referred to it when she had me write up a blog article and hop on one of their podcasts. And I always, because I mean, I'll tell anyone I'm an idiot. I'm a self-proclaimed idiot. I love what I do. I'm passionate. I'll laugh at myself. I'll be the first one, but I'm passionate about what I do, and I like the approach that I've come into it is I don't have competitors. I mean, to some people, I may be a competitor, but for me, like, there's so many windows. There's no
Hmm.
competition, and so
Hmm.
the more people we meet, I just interact with them. I'm like, oh, awesome, yeah, you're so and so, you own the company, whatever. Find out, exchange contact information, and for me, I grow that network. And
Hmm.
like today and yesterday and all last week, like I'm networking with a bunch of our, window cleaning homies. That's like, man, I can't get to this. I need help with this. Can you help me with this? And we just have this really like fluid network of,
Yeah.
I might not have as much work and they need help, or vice versa, or,
Yeah.
this might be complicated and need someone. So, like I said, it's, I think horizontal marketing maybe makes more sense instead of what I call like a traditional old school approach. Like my thing is, I don't even have a website, and I know I should. Everyone tells me, I keep thinking about it, but I, yeah, I should. We'll just leave it at that. But for me, it's just my approach. Well, before this year, handshakes and conversations in person and just right there. And like I said, between ridiculous work ethic and hours and just put in the grind, you know, you were talking about today too, like the 10, 12, 14-hour days, they happen and they might not be what we're hoping for. But on the flip side, man, I'm grateful for those over days where I'm like, oh, I got to find work. I got to do something. And so for me, it's just putting in that work, being in front of people, talking to people.
Right.
And same thing with the networking with not even just window cleaners, but definitely anytime I see a window cleaner, I'm talking to them.
Yeah.
But then I try to find, you know, even like a big one I've talked about is like landscapers or yard maintenance, and they do sprinklers. Well, we have hard water on our clients' windows. Hey, do you guys have a landscape or a sprinkler repair company? Because, you know, I'm treating this hard water. If you don't have someone that can work on your sprinklers, so-and-so's excellent. Here's his number. He can actually adjust that so we can correct it and we don't damage, you know, the surface of your glass anymore, or, you know, anything that could be around the house. But I'm like overly apparent of typically what's going on around me. So I notice a lot of things. So I'm not just like one track mind focused on windows.
Right.
And I think that's where my approach with this, you know, horizontal marketing, old school, traditional, like whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
That's why I've gone that way, because again, it's more inviting. And even, you know, there's even things within cleaning, whether it's carpet cleaning or blinds or whatever. And I like to find other professionals because I want my customers to be taken care of the best, right? So it's like, hey, Kyle, or hey, Gabe, you know, you're here doing the windows. Can you, whatever, can you do such and such thing? You could probably technically do it, but I'm like, hey, you know what? I could, but, you know, my buddy so-and-so, he'll take way better care of you, and I want it to be done the right way. And I love that interaction because I don't want to just win. I want like a collective group to win. And I feel like the more that I'm able to lift other companies and share other companies, they'll do the same. And it's a win-win-win because we can win, the partnering company can win, and our customer wins because they're getting the best service.
Yeah, and I kind of think of that as almost like complementary marketing, you know, where you're promoting a similar, you know, kind of in the same range, like carpet cleaning is an example. You know, it's different, it's a different thing, but we're both going to customers' houses, we're both doing, you know, satisfying a need that the customer themselves aren't really able to do well, you know. You know, it's customer service, right? It's you're going into their home, you're going into their, you know, sanctity, you know, the sanctity of their home, and so that requires trust, you know, so I think kind of with you, I have a little container of business cards of people that when I find someone who I feel comfortable, you know, recommending them to my customers, I grab a bunch of their business cards and put it in there. And that way someone ever asks me, hey, do you know a good carpet cleaner, or do you know a good maid service, or do you know, a good whatever, I have some people that I can recommend that I know will do a good job, you know. And as soon as I find out someone didn't, they're out of that box, you know, because I'm not gonna put my customers through that, you know, if they're not gonna live up to my standards, you know, what I would expect of you know, a service industry type job or type company, then I don't want to give them to my customers, you know. So
for sure. And how awesome is it too when they ask you, hey, you know what, so-and-so's great.
I love
it's just cool. And then your customer feels even better. Your client feels even better because you're like, hey, this is the dude.
And I let that company know, hey, my customer complimented you on your work. Thank you so much for taking care of them, you know, because now they appreciate that I'm keeping track of that, you know, and then they know that you know, they're just a mutual appreciation. I mean, that's the thing, is we want to be able to let other professionals know, hey, I'm a professional company. I show, and then that inclines them to recommend you, you know, if they have that, you know, request from their customers too. So
for sure.
Very cool. What was the other thing? It was also with marketing. It was, we talked about partnerships. So the other thing too was, you know, talking about promoting good, you know, you had mentioned a little bit about competition in the area. You know, one of the reasons why I invited you into the Flow group was because you have that vibe of, you know, look, you know, we all have a tough, you know, have to deal with life. Let's make it good, you know. So how do you use that positive promotion in your, you know, in your marketing, in your social media, to kind of help you grow your business when it comes to that, you know, making sure that you are a promoter of good, you know, of good feelings, of good work, of just positive feelings.
For me, like that's my personality. Like I don't have time for people's negative crap because there's enough there. Like that negative, it's self-sustaining. And
Hmm.
so for me, like I don't see the need in it. So if I'm already going to be positive in my personal interactions when this isn't turned on with my family, with my friends, with my neighbors, with people, then that needs to be what I do everywhere. You know, because if
Hmm.
you do it one place, just be transparent, be that way.
Yeah.
And it's so it's two-sided because it's so great to give out goodness and give out positive energy, but it's super self-serving too because it only helps me.
Yeah.
And it's like that's that's kind of one of the reasons why I never really did the YouTube thing. On top of like I'm an idiot when it comes to technology, so like I don't want to spend the time editing and figuring that out. I'll probably get there, but man, like of the different social platforms, there's a lot of hate out there,
Yeah.
especially on YouTube. But man, I get enough on Instagram. Some
Yeah.
comments and some direct messages, and I'm like, you know what, like people look for that reaction,
Hmm.
and man, like I welcome it because they're not going to get it from me. Like I'll kill them with kindness
Yeah.
and I'll wish them the best on their way out, and they can stick around. Thanks for watching the content. That's great. But man, like, and it's two things, right? Like when you give good energy to someone that has good energy, that's awesome and that's so
Hmm.
productive. But on the flip side, when you give good energy to someone that maybe doesn't have good energy,
Hmm.
they might not retaliate or reciprocate with that energy, but it will affect them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
maybe like for me, like I'd rather be a target for someone to have negative energy because I can handle that and pump
Hmm.
out good energy.
Yeah.
And man, it's so much better again for every part of what you do.
Yeah. There was a time, for most part, most of the interactions I have with other companies are real positive, on Instagram. Well, at my Facebook, I have my page and I post a lot of stuff on it. I don't get much interaction there, but Instagram for sure, I get a lot of engagement. But I remember one time a guy had messaged me and was just kind of critical about something either like I need to do more of this or I need more of that. And I remember it's just I had a bad day, I was tired and I responded kind of in a snarky way and I answered him, but I wasn't real happy with it. And the next day I woke up and I looked back at that conversation. I was like, that wasn't me. That's not the way I am. That's not the way I talk to people. And so I responded back to him and I apologized. And I said, you know what? When I responded, I apologize. That came across as really defensive, and I'm not a defensive person. I really appreciate your feedback, and I appreciate your the points of view that you have. I'm going to think about it and see how I can apply it in my business. And then he didn't respond, and I thought, oh well, at least I feel good that I did my thing. But then after that, he was messaging me, and we were having good conversations. It was like nothing ever happened.
That's great.
And so I felt like, hey, I salvaged a relationship, just by being
That's
humble and
awesome.
admitting that I had a bad day and I didn't respond the way I could have, because he could have just never contacted me again, and tell other people, oh, Gabe had this response, but I felt like that positivity, acknowledging that my initial effort wasn't positive and then responding with it helped to
Yeah.
salvage a relationship, and
But even going back to our content, man, like I could tell even when you say that that's not you because
mm-mm.
I can see how you conduct yourself. Man, everyone has off days. But
Yeah.
like the nice thing is like, and even the funny thing, right? Like you put up a post on social media. Who in the world has time for negative energy? Because I don't. And it's comical to me because I
Yeah.
get it. Like I get compared to other people. It's like, man, like I have so much respect for the person that you think that I'm trying to knock off their look. I've
Yeah.
had this for a long time, but and they're all great. But again, like, dude, I got nothing but love for people in the industry. If you're doing it, awesome. If you're struggling, if I can help, awesome. If you're killing it, if I can help, awesome. If we can collaborate somehow, great. But and I have so much going on in my life. If you take work or family or anything else, dude, I don't have time to be like, oh, hey Gabe, you missed that spot or what, whatever. You get those weird comments, but
Yeah.
yeah, if
Yeah.
you just send out that, hey, you know what? Thanks for being a fan. Thanks for following the page. Thanks for taking time to watch the content. Drop a comment,
Yep.
whatever. And then yeah, typically they're going to interact. And
Yeah. And
at the end of the day, we're all just watching windows, man. It's all good.
yeah, the thing too that I don't think people realize is, especially on when you're posting on a business page, is that customers see that or potential customers see that, And if they
Mhm.
see that you respond negatively towards another business, either in the comments, or I've even seen posts that were outright going after another
Oh, dude,
company,
it's
you know,
hard to see.
and
Hard to
it's
see
like,
it.
oh man, dude, are you really letting your customers see that? Who would hire you after seeing that, you know? Or I'll
Yeah.
see, people just post things about customers, on their business page, and I'm like, oh
Oh,
my,
dude, that kills me.
why would you do that? Because you're just shooting
Yeah.
yourself in the foot. So it's like you said, it's just, if you just keep things positive and keep things light, then you're only helping yourself. You're only helping your brand, in that. But and there's just so much negativity right now. There's so much, in the news, and I don't know about you, but I'm just overloaded with all the divisiveness, that exists. And
Dude,
so, let's just be a part of the unity,
go-
rather than.
going back to my old school reference earlier, man. It's not there. It's out there. You hear about it, but I don't have the time to give that energy, man. I've got work to do. I've got a wife and 3 children that would love my time and my attention. And
Yeah,
y'all can deal with it. That's cool. But I'm gonna be over here with a smile on my face. I
yeah,
might get,
exactly.
frustrated and irritated with things, but man, like, how cool is it? Like, we get to wash windows and provide for ourselves. That's
Yeah,
pretty dope.
absolutely.
Because if you told me that 4 years ago, I would have laughed at your face.
Yeah,
And I have people that I'm either friends with or acquaintances or people have known me, and it's like, oh, you wash windows? Like, that's cool. I did that in high school for a summer. And it's like, that's cool. You didn't do what I do, but that's great that you had a little bit of, interaction with what, the industry is. But dude, it's just take everything with a grain of salt.
mm-hmm.
Because when you have that bad interaction, someone's having a bad day. I have bad days. I have bad moments almost every day, but that's not the totality of my day.
Yeah,
So I try not to give that to people, because if you want something negative, you can go all over the place. So
yeah,
I'm gonna share a video of this idiot, big dumb smile on my face, talking about cleaning windows with my beard blowing in the wind, with my
yeah,
barometer going off. But it's like, man, like, just everything's cool. Like, everything's pretty cool. It's
yeah,
as bad as we make it, or it's as good as we make it. So I'm gonna make it good.
yeah.
And that's, with the social media, like with my posts,
Mm-hmm.
with networking with other guys, talking, it's been fun for me to have interactions with you, even on social media, and a
Mm-hmm.
handful of guys around the country, and even some guys out of the country.
Mm-hmm.
And then some of that has developed into, we talk on the phone frequently, and figuring out ways to better different units of what we do. And
Mm-hmm.
it's been awesome.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and I focus on that. Just focus on that good section.
Yep.
And for some people, a positive, hey man, that was really cool. That might be the
Mm-hmm.
only nice thing someone heard in a day. So just take a time
Yeah,
to drop a comment or respond to someone. And
absolutely.
it's
Yeah,
just,
absolutely.
it takes this much just to give out a little bit of good.
And it's like, especially when you see someone who's new, I hate when you see, these kind of established companies, and they just kind of, rip into a new guy. He'll post a video of him cleaning the window, and you just right away you see, people are, oh, you should be doing this better. Oh, why are you doing that? Oh, you call yourself a professional, and it's like, man, he's just starting out. We all started out, when
Man, I same team those guys. I talk to them like, dude, we're on the same team. What's up? That's awesome, man.
yeah,
Hey, if you ever have a question, let me know. Or hey, you know
yeah,
what? When you're doing this, maybe try like this. It could help.
yeah,
And just interact with them. Because yeah, it's funny too, right? Because all the big guys in the industry, man, they were all that guy that was like,
yeah. Oh man, I only survived my first 6 months of my company because of my customer service, because my window cleaning skills
absolutely.
were terrible, but only because I was
Oh,
friendly, and people liked
comical.
me, that they allowed me to come back, and then they start rooting for you, and then they start pulling, and then eventually my skills caught up to my customer service. But
Yeah.
that took time. We were all there where we were doing really dumb things, or working inefficiently, or
I
leaving
laugh.
or lines or whatever.
I laugh when I see stuff from almost 4 years ago. I'm like, man, like, technique wise, I sucked. I had a pretty clean window, but it's like looking back at it, I'm like, oh, that's pretty cute. Like, I was so proud of that. But I am so proud of it, because I needed to eat that crap sandwich to figure out how to find
Yeah,
my stepping stone to in my opinion, the tremendous success that I've
yeah,
had. And I feel like, on the same side, right? Like, I talk about, like, I like to network with guys and talk to guys. I met this guy, John Salazar. You can type his name in and you'll never find him on anything, anywhere. And I love and respect the crap out of that. I call him the Wizard. He's one of the best dudes ever. He's been washing windows since like 1995, 1996.
Mm-hmm.
I met him, it might have been the day, my first or second day buying equipment back in May of 17. And I'm like, oh, hey, man, yeah, like, you know, I own Clean Habits. And he's like, oh, cool. You know, like, he was nice, but he's like, yeah, whatever. And well, then all of a sudden, I'm working out at the gym. He's doing the windows at the gym. I'm at the grocery store. I see him at the grocery store. He's washing windows. I see him, and I'm like, hey, dude, yeah, John, hey, I remember you. And from there, he realized, like, oh, like, this, like, spunky kid's, like, actually serious about cleaning windows. Cool.
Right.
And so after about 6-ish months of getting to know him and like literally just running into him randomly everywhere, he goes, hey, man, he goes, are you heavy on work or are you a little bit light? Because I've got a ton of work through a couple property management firms he works with up in Park City. He goes, I could really use a hand. He goes, if you're down, he goes, this is the schedule and I could, you know, like I could do X and Y and Z. And I'm like, cool, that'd be sweet. So for me, I'm like, man, like I'm going to go learn from this dude who has just a cool vibe. And man, like I get in the truck, I meet up with him at this parking lot and we hop in, exchange little, you know, formalities, greeting each other. And as we're driving up the canyon, he's asking me like questions as if we've been friends for a long time.
Right.
But it was just like straight, like he's the kind of guy, like he doesn't have time for crap. And he even said, he goes, hey man, he goes, respectively, he goes, just so you know, he goes, I want to be upfront with you. He goes, I don't need your help. He goes, I don't need you here. He goes, but you don't need me either. And he goes, but what I'd love to do, he goes, if you need work, he goes, I could use a hand. He goes, see what you got. I can give you a few pointers here and there. Dude, he got me light years ahead of where I would have ever thought. Even to the point that in 2017, we were in business 7.5 months. I told my wife, I mean, coming from, like I said, sales, a little bit of, you know, different industries and sales in a Fortune 500 company, and money was good. Sales were good, but I was never happy. I never enjoyed it. But I told my wife, I'm like, you know, if through the end of the year, I can just figure out some skills, kind of get some customers down. Next year, we can make this amount of money, which was not what I had been making. And then you fast forward a few months and this gentleman takes me under his wing and dude, just like things clicked and we were able to do in that first almost 8 months what I wanted to hit year 2. And then we were able to double and then add that same amount. And it's just like the momentum has been unbelievable, not because of me. I mean, this much of the equation is me, right? Because I'm willing to be out there. I'm willing to try hard things and learn, but I've also networked with people and people in turn have networked with me. And I've been able to grow some people's skills, hopefully. And man, I have had nothing but tremendous opportunities to learn from some incredible people, both that are, you know, either big that we all know of, that we all see all over the place. And even like this guy here, I call him the Wizard, that, like I said, if we had yellow pages, that's how you'd find him. Outside of that, no social media, personally, professionally, anything. And these kind of guys that I've been able to connect with and then interconnect each other with, and we've had just wonderful experiences over the last 3.5 years of meeting people and always welcoming new people. But there's kind of a group, not at the top, but kind of like a tight-knit group that we stay really close, and we've been able to experience some really cool things and really grow and like fine tune our craft and learn from one another. It's been really amazing.
Here's what I really like about that story. I love what he said about, you know, I don't need you, you don't need me, because that's really the key. You know, a lot of times 100%. When I hear people, like they'll ask advice like, okay, so I want to get into windows. Do I go work for someone first or do I just start my business on my own? And I always tell them, you know, there's no wrong answer there. I mean, personally, I had like 2 hours of training. The guy, I bought some storefronts from a friend of mine who was a window cleaner. He taught me in person. He gave me a pretty cool video though. He made a really neat VHS video of him. And they're friends of ours. They're just like really kind of wacky people, you know. So they like dressed up like ninjas and they dressed up like, I don't know. It's hilarious. That's awesome. That's how they made, you know, they taught us how to do different types of windows. But I mean, that was it. I like had zero training, and I just went and had to learn a lot, hard way. And of course, I learned 20 years ago, so there was no YouTube, there was no, networking that I could do. I didn't know any other window cleaners who could, take me under their wing, so I had to learn the hard way. And but then, I always say, look, Ethan, there's no wrong answer, but I'll tell you what, even though I learned on my own, I wish I had someone to have told me things. There's certain things that I learned like 6 years down the road that I could have easily learned in the first year, and it would have saved me so much headache and time, So
there's stuff so simple as just like the process of what you're using with your immediate tools. And like, even like, I don't want to go down the road of like slinging any dirt, but like the way I learned versus the way I am now, I'm like, dude, someone could have just said, hey bro, like instead of that thing, use this one thing and you'll be 17 times faster alone.
See, to get that, you need two things. One, you need someone who is generous.
You need to have gone through it.
And two, you need to be humble enough to be able to listen to that, because, I talk to a lot of new people, and, I'm coming from 20 years experience, and I'll offer a suggestion and they're like, yeah, dude. Yeah, whatever, and I'm like, all right, well, I mean, cool. I gave it to you.
Have fun with that.
Yeah, exactly. Do with it what you want. You don't have to listen to it. It's, but I just know from experience, I'm like, look, if you just listen to this little bit of advice, it's going to solve a lot of your problems, but if there's no humility on that end. So with your relationship with this guy, you were humble enough to recognize, hey, I could learn some things from this guy, rather than view him as like a competitor, or view him as, oh, this guy, he thinks he's the best, I'm going to show him I'm the best, having that type of attitude. You were like, hey, I'm going to be friends with this guy. He's going to teach you something. But he also recognized that as well. He recognized that, hey, I'm going to teach you some things, but only because you're a cool person, because I see in you that, one, you take the business seriously, and two, that if I teach you this, you're going to appreciate what I share with you. I'm not going to waste my time with you because you're there ready to take it in, So I love that dynamic. I love the dynamics of interactions with people on that, because I've been on both ends, I love mentoring people. I love giving advice, and I'm not shy about it. But I do find that sometimes people will ask for advice, and then really they don't want it. They don't want it. So I'm like, well,
I'm going to show you. He won't respond to me. Like, hey, bro, you should try this. Like, okay, yeah, whatever.
But I think also it translates to our customers as well. I'm sure you're probably someone like me who has strong relationships with your clients, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And you only get those if they see that you're a genuine person. One of the things I hate to see, and you see it a lot on these groups and stuff, is when people like, they throw, oh, I made this much money on this job, and they're like, oh, I'm making this much per hour, and because that means that they're only seeing their customers as dollar signs.
Well, that's what they're seeing them as, a customer, not a client.
Yeah.
And that's what I said. I've said it before. I don't want customers, man. Anybody can have customers. I want clients. Because for me, like a big part, if you followed me or seen things along my journey, is, and my big thing is education. I want my customers to know, hey, I just said it. I want my customers to know things, but I want my clients to know things. I want them to be, when they're like, oh, well, why are you doing this? Or when they're like, hey, you know what, let's not worry about the hard water on that basement window. And I'm like, that's fine. I'm just going to take care of that window for you. And for me as an owner operator, much less as a professional in my industry, I want you to have the best care of your windows. But also, if you have a friend, a neighbor, relative, whatever, someone comes by and they're thinking about getting their windows done, and they're like, oh man, who cleaned your windows? Oh, Clean Habits did. And they go wash their hands and they see that one terrible window. That doesn't benefit anyone, right? And so, but also on top of that, it's like, I want to do those little things and share with the customer, hey, I'm going to go ahead and take care of this for you, and this is why. And this is going to be the benefit or the value add. Or, hey, you know what, like, my big one, like to all my customers, if they want exterior only, which obviously this year I understand more so than most, but I want to share with them, hey, you know what, you get that stubborn stuff that splashes up above your kitchen sink window, grab a magic eraser, get some water and dish soap, and then the microfiber towel. Don't use a paper towel. Just like little things. I want them to be able to win with me, because I'm not going to be there all the time, and they might have like, that one thing. And I always joke, like, people, if they hear that and they've never had their windows cleaned, they might laugh. But once you know, and if you don't know, you don't know what you don't know. So again, I like to just empower people, whether they're my competitors, which is just our fellow window cleaners, whether it's the clients, even if it's a one-off customer. I want them even if I don't wash their windows again, I want them to know why they should do it, even if it's
Mhm.
on their own with someone else, because I want them to be able to enjoy and appreciate what it is.
Yeah, I just had a customer, and we have a little community south of Tucson, and it's like a retirement community. It's really hard. It's tough. It's a tough area because there's a lot of window cleaners down there. A lot of them are very
Yeah.
low priced. Our prices like seem astronomical to the residents there. So we have a lot of work there, but you know, when we get a new customer, they usually have a sticker shock when they find out our prices, you know. So we had this one
Yeah.
lady, and she hadn't used us before, and she was like, "Wow, that's a lot of money." And we're like, "Well, you know, this is why we charge. You know, we're
Mhm.
professional. We can go down the list, you know." So she hires us, and I went there. I was by myself for some reason. I can't remember why. Usually I have one other person with me, but I show up, and she's like, "Oh, you're by yourself." And I said, "Yeah." She's like, "Okay, well, I hope you can get it done in time, you know, because I got to get out of here by the time." I'm like,
I
"Oh yeah, well, no,
love
I'll take
that
care
one.
of it." So I get there, boom, I go around the house, I do it, and then by the water hose, there was a window above it, and like you said, there was some a little bit of hard water, nothing too terrible, you know, because I do charge
Yeah,
extra
just
for
light.
hard water removal, but it wasn't anything terrible. So I pulled out some miracle scrub, and I had a steel wool, and just worked on it for about 10 minutes, and I got it off. You know, I got took care of it. So I finished. And she's like, "You're done already?" And I said, "Yeah." She's like, "You finished all of the window?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah." And she's like, "Okay, because the other two guys that I used to hire, they would take like twice as long as you, and that was two people." And I'm like,
Hmm.
"Oh, well, I don't. I mean, if you want to inspect and make sure," I said, "but I got all the windows." And she's like, "Okay." And she's like, "Well, would you mind if I just take a walk around?" I'm like, "Sure, no." So I'm, on my phone. She walks around, and she comes back and she's like, "You got the hard water spots off of that window." And I said, "Oh yeah, yeah, I saw that there." And I just figured I'd just take care of it since this is my first time servicing you. And it was just one little spot. And she's like, "The other guys said that, they couldn't get it off because it was etched into the window." And I said, "Well, there is some hard water that you do. It takes a lot more work." I said, "But it wasn't to that degree, you know." And I knew I was going to be able to take it off. And she was like, "Okay, well, now I see why you charge more than what the other guys do. You're totally worth it."
Yeah.
She's like, "You got a customer for life, you know." But it was just the care. She saw that I cared about what the product was I was giving her, you know. And that's what
Yeah.
I always try to tell my employees, is, we are charging a lot of money for some of these people. So we need to make sure that they believe our job is worth it. And the
Yeah.
only way it's worth it is if we view them as it's a relationship, not as opposed to them just being customers that we're trying to get money out of them. You know,
Right.
they see that, if they see we care about what they want, then they're going to be willing to pay the amount that we're asking, because now they understand the value of that. We don't want the people
And
who
they're
are
on.
looking for the coupon deals. We want the people who are
No,
paying for the quality.
there's someone that'll take care of that, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Because I have similar areas where there's people that, to me, it's like, it shocks me sometimes how little people charge. And I'll get, maybe 2, 3 times a month. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're expensive. And I'll just like, okay, compared to what? Oh, well, so and so came through and did it last year, and he was, a half or a third or some ridiculous
Hmm.
number. And I'm like, okay, go ahead and give him a call. Oh, well, I don't have his phone number. He just came knocking through the neighborhood. I'm like, oh, is he like in the licensed insured business or just some guy? Oh, he's just some guy doing on the side to take care of his family. That's fine if you want to use him. That's great. But this is what I do. This is my passion. And again, like, I'm not a guy that's just doing this on the side or in the evenings or summertime. This is what I've done for years to provide for my family, and I love what I do. And I'd love to help you experience the Clean Habits difference, to see the passion of what I do and then the quality I deliver. And at the end, if you prefer someone else, that's fine, but I'd love to show you why.
Yeah.
And sometimes they don't, and that's okay,
Yeah.
because those are the people that are gonna, everything. And that's fine, because I consider, I don't do like all the different package deals, and I don't do like parts here, and then I'm not going to do this or charge, additional for all these like simple things. For me, I'm a premium service. People come to me, one
Hmm.
stop shop. I'm going to take care of all this. This is the price.
Yeah.
If you shop other people, you might find someone cheaper, you might find someone more expensive, but most of the time, if you break down all the services, I'm really comparable. But you're going to get it all done every time from me.
Awesome.
And
Very
you know
cool.
what? And there's different lanes, right? Like,
Hmm.
I'm not in the lane and no disrespect, I don't consider what I do the blow and go cleaning. But there's a lane for that that's important and needs to happen. And also, I've got good buddies that are, I'm not blow and go cleaners, but their pricing schedule might be different. They might not do all the intricacies that I offer. And that's great because there's people that just want that, and that's fine.
Yeah,
and there's millions of windows. And that's the thing I laugh about the most is competition. I have never shown up anywhere and every window that I could ever see anywhere is being washed. It won't happen.
Right.
You can't. That's a bold overstatement. It would be very complicated to ever have too many window cleaners. Yeah. So why then, in my opinion, why not just team up with them, get to know them, and then you see each other around? Like I've got one of my best friends owns Pete's Window Washing, and he lives like 15 minutes from me. We both got big into mountain biking. We bike a lot. He helped me with snow removal last year. He helps me with windows and pressure washing and vice versa, and Mint window cleaning. Actually, Mint is originally from Arizona. I don't remember exactly where. I think they're the Phoenix area. His brother's got a shop down there.
That's about 2 hours north of us. Yeah.
But
there are a ton of window cleaners in Phoenix, Mesa, Chandler, the Glendale. There's just almost everywhere. 1,000 window cleaners out there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And guess what? They're all stacked busy. Yeah. And everyone's fine. Yeah. And if they're not, they'll get there or they won't. But for me, it's like just enjoy it, because now when I'm driving around and I see either my buddies, like I don't have employees yet. Mainly what I do is subcontract within my network of guys, and I look to add guys, and I've trained some dudes in the past. One of my absolute best friends actually was working a very sad dead-end job for his experience and his scholastic achievements and having a family. And I had him working with me on the side after his day job. And again, so we're down in Lehigh, so we're like right between Salt Lake and Provo. But essentially we were living like 15 minutes south of Salt Lake City at the time. And I had him washing windows with me, and they ended up moving to Oceanside, like San Diego area. And he was trying to figure out how to line up job interviews, and he was stressed out about these things. And I'm like, bro, like, that's great. Do all your interviews, line all those up. Dude, but dude, please just go wash windows on the side. Like even once a week. I don't even care. But for yourself, do it. And he's like, oh, well, I can't afford the equipment. And I'd given him some things, but before he left, we went to Home Depot. I bought like a $4 Unger squeegee.
Yeah.
No one knows the difference. A squeegee is a squeegee is a squeegee is a squeegee, unless it's the one from the gas station pump, right? The little two-sided thing. But I showed him, like, man, like we went and made a couple $100 that day on a few jobs. I'm like it's that simple. And I just want you to realize how powerful you are, and you can do this.
Yeah.
Then
especially if you have the skill,
Dude, he's a stud. He's a former Marine, and he's as diligent, hardworking, and as honest of a human being as you could ever search for in your life. And I'm like, bro, like, please, like, for yourself, for your sanity, for your wife, and for your kids, like, just do it on the side and just humor me. And you can say all you want, but just promise me you'll just try it. You fast forward 2 years later, dude, he's living his best life washing windows, has a killer business. He's networked with a massive company, and he's kind of transitioning and helping them with a ton of their operations.
That's awesome.
And man, I could not be more proud of him.
Yeah.
And so like it's stuff like that, man. Like you never know who you're going to help, but it doesn't have to be window cleaning. We can help, and I've helped other people try to get other ideas off the ground. But once you've taken that risk to do something, there's two ways, right? Like starting your own business is really hard, but it's also super easy. It's just saying, I'm gonna put foot on the gas and go for it.
Yeah.
And it's literally, that's all it takes. You don't need the money coming into it. I was fortunate that, like I said, we had $75 when we started this. My dad gave me an angel investment of $340, bought my first round of equipment.
Nice.
That I want to just run over, because now it's like I hate all that equipment. But that was my base, and I figured it out from there. And again, man, like I look at the money I'm making now versus like my good paying jobs before, I could never go back. I love what I do, and I did that off of no family investment. I didn't have a safety net, didn't have a backup. I didn't have all these like structural things that people want to have. It was, I can do this, and I can go all in and make whatever idea, which happened to be window cleaning, happen. And I feel like if it would have been something else, it would have worked, or it wouldn't have, and it would have transitioned to something else. But for me, fortunately, I've been blessed that window cleaning has taken off.
Yeah.
And again, my thing is with the success that I am able to achieve, the only reason I feel like I'm blessed with it is because I want other people to win. And so when I have guys around me, I try to level up them, and in return they level up me. And I don't think success is worth it if I don't share it.
Yeah.
And so it's just, man, it's been awesome. But again, like for anybody, for like the partnerships, or for anybody struggling or thinking, oh, what if I do this? If you have a killer job and you got an idea, you just hustle it on the side, see if you make money.
Yeah.
And if it's making money, see if you can supplement and transition. But just take that little risk, which could be really scary. Man, have you ever been happier than working for yourself with something that you cared about?
No.
And it was probably scary as crap when you got started 20 years ago,
Yeah.
or intimidating or whatever.
Well,
And man,
what it is
everyone.
it's overwhelming, you know, because especially when you go from a steady job where you get a paycheck every week,
Benefits,
you know,
and
you get benefits, you get time off, you get vacation, you know, that type of thing. And now you're going to where, wow, this week I could either make $1,000 or I could make, you know, $20, you know, and you know, that part is really hard to kind of learn how to settle in, because there's still consistency there. It's a lot more spread out, right? With work,
Yeah.
you're talking about a weekly consistency, where with business you're talking about a yearly consistency. So it's
Right.
learning to ride those waves, and then to save when you know you're going to go low, and then to spend, you know, to get the purchases to grow your business when you're riding high, you know, when you got the action. That's the trick, you know. Just kind of what you were saying reminded me. I was having a conversation with another guy, because I'm hiring like crazy right now because I really need help. And I really want to hire experience. You know, I hired a couple new guys. I've been training them for a couple months, but I right now I need people who already know and can kind of hit the ground running. And so I'd put an ad on Indeed, and there's a local window cleaner who I met, who's just new in town. He's only been here for about maybe 8 or 9 months, and he was a window cleaner elsewhere. So he was trying to start his business. So he reached out to me, you know, and we chat every once in a while. He'd ask me for advice, and you know, and he's been doing pretty decent. But you know, with COVID, it kind of hurt him pretty bad, and he's had.
Tell me you called him. Tell me you called him and he's helping you.
No, well, here's the
Come
thing.
on.
He reached out to me and he said, "Hey, I saw that you're hiring." And he goes, "You know, I've had a real hard time, and I'm not making a lot of money right now." And he goes, I think, you know, if you're hiring, I'd love to work for you. And I said, okay, I would hire you in a second, but we need to have a conversation first before I hire you. And so I explained to him the seasons, because he wasn't here for the last, because in Arizona, our busy season is from October to December. I mean, we are just crazy. That's why I'm hiring, because I'm anticipating. We're already booked into November, the middle of November, you know.
That's awesome.
And so I was telling him, look, before you come to work for me, I need to know that you're not going to regret working for me. And this is what I mean. You know, you've had your business only for about 8 months. You haven't been through this busy season. Now,
it's wild.
You've got your business. You know, I really feel that the smart thing is to give your business at least a couple, 3 or 4 more months to ride this busy season and see if you can have a fighting chance to make it grow. You know, talk it over with your wife. If you guys truly are done with the risk of running a business, and you're truly like, no, you know what, we're done, we want to have a steady paycheck, come back to me, you got a job. But if you're wondering, man, should I maybe just give this business a little more chance to grow? You know, I wouldn't want you to be with me and then you regret that, you know, and you're looking at my business. So I just laid it to him, you know. He says, you know, I really appreciate you telling me, let me talk it with my wife. So he took the weekend to talk about it, and then called me and says, you know what, we're going to give it through this busy season. I said, hey, do it.
Good.
If at the end of it, you know, you still are frustrated and you don't feel your businesses, I'm sure I'll have room to hire you to come back to me and you got a job, you know. But I just wanted to make sure he gave the business the best opportunity, because, you know, obviously he's going to be able to provide for his family better if he has his own business, you know.
Absolutely.
And I'm not just looking for someone to help make me money. I want whoever is working for me to feel like, hey, this is a good job, you know, that I'm looking out for them, and I'm looking out for the best, you know, what their family needs in order for them to provide. And if running their business is the best thing, then that's what they should do, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, I think that having that attitude, because if he ever does come back to work for me, then he'll know that I have his best interest at heart, you know, that I'm not just an owner trying to take advantage of another guy, that I actually I wanted him to know I care about him and his family and I want the best. And that's who I want working for me. I don't want just a guy coming who is just looking for work and is going to work for me 5 months and then go find something else. I want someone who
break something every other day.
yeah, who doesn't care and just is, doesn't take just real quick. Something I'm going to actually wrote an article on it because I write for the AW, the American Window Cleaner magazine. And my next article.
Because you're a killer, Gabe.
Yeah.
You got to accept that, dude. You're killing it, man. Everyone loves what you do. If they don't, they're lying.
But one of the things I tell my workers is our business is it's like a tree. My business is a tree. It's not a cash cow where we just go milk it and we get money from it. It's a tree. It provides for us, but it provides for a lot of provides for all my employees. It provides for anything that my employees buy from other businesses. I try to buy local as much as I can with my supplies from local janitorial shops. I try to do everything that I can to put the money back into my economy, and it helps and it's provided for my family. It's helped my wife and daughter through some medical issues. So if we take care of the tree, all of us, then the tree is going to keep providing for us, but if I hire someone and they don't take care of the tree, or they don't view the tree as something that's important, then I don't want them in my business. I don't want them here because they're not going to allow that tree to keep growing. I'm the caretaker. That's always tell them I'm the caretaker. If you're doing something to hurt the tree, I'm going to get after you. If I see you're taking care of the tree, you're going to be my best friend. You're going to have fun here, and I'm going to take care of you because you're another caretaker of the business. And I think if more people have that attitude towards their business, then it becomes a more important value, not only to their family, but also to the community, and to other window cleaners as well.
And it goes back to that positive vibe and winning together, man. Like, it's one of those things people hate hearing, but it's true, man. If you want to win quick, win alone. If you want to win big, win together. And it's not just like you and your employees and your team. It's you and the industry and neighboring industries and crossover and other jobs you refer and your clients and everyone. It's you want to win. You want you to win. You want your client to win for sure, and you want other people to be able to win along the way. And that aggregated group of winning will level everyone up and do super dope stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Kyle, I really appreciate your time, man. And
likewise.
What I was thinking is we need to start a beard club because we got Mike Nichols in the Into the Flow. And he's got a nice beard. And, we'll see if we can get Luke into the group, although he's kind of hard to reach sometime. But I know you got a connection with Luke, so we'll have to get him into ITF.
Dude, here's my connection. It's right here off my chin.
But no, I appreciate what you're doing and keep it up. And I look forward to continued interactions with you. And wish you well, man. Wish you well out there.
Thanks, my friend. I appreciate your time.
All right. Well, you have a good night. Thank you, Flomies, for listening. And you guys have a great weekend, and we will catch you on the next video.